Hey everyone, welcome back to Fact or Fictional. I'm your host, Veronica Belmont. Did you enjoy having the bad astronomer back on the show, Phil Plait? I love him. I told him about a weird, creepy dream that I had about him. Okay, it wasn't that creepy. He was like moderating some kind of like eating contest that I was in, like food eating contest. Besides the point, totally besides the point. He was great to have on the show, but you guys had some thoughts. Ian Goldilocks, I'm hoping that I'm saying your name correctly, on Facebook says, one thing to consider about floating civilizations are resources and everything that goes into having those resources available for citizens. Also, a gross thing that comes to mind is sanitation. You know, plumbing, wastes, and all that messiness. Just another thing to consider besides how a floating civilization would stay in the sky in the first place. All right, that is an excellent and vaguely disgusting point. You know, if we're leaving the planet Earth for some reason, if there's a reason why we are moving into these floating civilizations, we probably don't care too much about dropping our waste. And today we're talking about cyborgs. Now, typically one thinks of a cyborg as being a humanoid that has mechanical elements built in, something that's improving some part of their physical being, whether it's improved vision or like a chainsaw hand. I'm not sure why you would want that, but a chainsaw hand would be one option. But as technology grows and changes, I feel like us humans as a species are going to find more ways to incorporate that technology into our bodies. It just seems like the next logical step to me. But is it plausible? That's why today we're going to talk to Joe Hanson from It's Okay to Be Smart to learn more. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey Veronica, thanks for having me back.
So first of all, have you tried out Google Glasses or Google Glass? Have you had any experience using that yet? Because I feel like that's kind of like the next step in our cyborgification.
So I'm an Austinite, and Google Glass was the hit of South by Southwest, I guess. Every South by Southwest has to have a thing. So I saw plenty of people running around with it. I did not get to try it, but I'm pretty intrigued. Although the more and more I saw people using it, it just kind of seems like not so much this artificial intelligence techno thing as kind of like an iPhone on a headband, sort of. The Google Glass has a lot of the same features as smartphones. It's got a camera and a little internal processor, but it still needs your head, and it still needs, I would assume, a pretty strong Wi-Fi connection to get everything out there. So, you know, it's talking to all those Google apps that are out there on the cloud or the network or whatever they're going to call it tomorrow. You wear this around your head. It's got a camera, voice-activated controls, and it does about the same thing that we can get from what we have today, but just have less people doing this.
So we don't really talk about Tony Stark as being a cyborg per se. You know, we talk more about the suit and the mechanics behind it. But he definitely has technology integrated into his own body, his artificial heart, for example, that's keeping him alive. That's definitely got a cyborg element to it. So what do you think about that?
I think we're getting closer and closer to kind of erasing that line of what it means to be human. That's sort of one of those philosophical questions. You know, what is a human? You sort of know it when you see it, but nobody can really give you a good definition. Say somebody has an arm amputated. If you get in there, you can do kind of two ways. Think about like Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker's robotic hands. There could be a chip implanted in your brain decoding the information that you want to send to that replacement mechanical part that you get put on. And we've got systems in the work just like that today. But what I think is even cooler is the development of these sort of what are called biopolymers. This is sort of like a plastic gel scaffold that we can lay all kinds of stem cells and guide those into nerves and muscles and let those grow through. And these have already been tested in rats, and we've got rats that didn't have legs that have legs before that we probably wouldn't be able to distinguish from rat legs.
Wait, so we have rat cyborgs?
Maybe I wasn't supposed to tell you that. Yeah. Now we just need cyborg cats to keep the cyborg rats under control.
And then it just escalates from there, it just keeps going up the food chain until, you know, what's left.
Then it's just cyborg us. I mean, look what's being done with paraplegics and these exoskeletons. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not necessarily like an implant. This is something that exists outside the body, but this is technology that's helping humans who can't function the way that they maybe would want to. And it's not what I think what we're missing with some of these technologies is that they're not communicating with the brain. they're kind of responding to the body. They're not wired into our computer. It still kind of requires us to guide them. So some of these exoskeletons, one of my favorites is this waist-down paraplegic assistant device, and one of the test subjects for these, this guy's kids call him Iron Man, which I think is just adorable. It's sort of like a Segway mixed with a cyborg, because you still got to kind of lean one way to get it to walk and then lean the other way to get it to walk. But we've got people standing and walking. They could never do that before. Some of the newest prosthetics are actually taking those biopolymers, growing nerves that we're splicing into the nerves that are right there in the arm, just like you're stealing your neighbor's cable or something. You know, we can 3D print bones, and we can create just about any tissue we want out of stem cells, or we will be able to in the near future. So it's just a matter of kind of splicing those wires together, kind of licking your fingers and twisting it together like you're hot wiring a car back in the day.
People constantly compare Google to Skynet, for example. Do you think we're getting close to a Skynet? Is that something, or is there something like that the military is working on right now?
So I don't want to have anybody put on their tinfoil hats here real quick, but there is a facility in the Utah desert it has the innocuous name, the Utah Data Center, which sounds like something that I guess like Facebook or Amazon would open.
Yeah, it just sounds like a colo or something.
Yeah, it's just, we're just running some servers out there.
Server
but
farm.
This is a project from the National Security Agency that will open later this year, and I think its task is to filter essentially the entire internet of the United States. All of the emails, all of the Facebook posts, all of the tweets. Now they say that they're going to filter out just foreign communications that are passing through the United States, but they're going to be dipping their hand in a lot of the internet. So watch what you put out there later this year. But it is still illegal to do surveillance on American citizens, so we have to trust that the good guys are on our side there.
Well, I feel like cybernetic organisms already kind of exist on a small scale. To what point do you think this medical technology will get to? It might be pretty scary with robots walking around that look like humans.
So everybody keeps talking about these nano machines and tiny machines that we're going to put in people to do a lot of the medicine, but instead of hacking electrical wires and computer chips, I think we're going to hack a lot more of biology as it already exists. The worlds of synthetic biology. We don't need Doctor Who's floating nano machines so much as we're going to have engineered viruses and all these different kinds of tissues and cells that we can put into people. And even bacteria, they're going to start working for us instead of against us. So, we're going to have some hacking, we're going to have some synthetic organisms floating around in us, but I think they're going to be made from the same stuff as what we're already made of.
All right, so Joe, overall, would you say that the ability for humankind to become cyborgs, would this be fact or fictional?
99% fact. Because that extra 1%, I think we're always going to have to remain a little bit human, because everything that we make, we're designing with our own template in mind, and we're always going to need to keep a little bit of this on board.
Guys, how excited are you? We actually got a fact. It's been a while, I feel like. Cyborgs are definitely possible. Like I said, as technology grows and changes, we're going to be incorporating it into our own beings. With androids and with robotic creatures that are mimicking humankind, we get the uncanny valley effect, which is, in case you don't know, the situation where you view something that is so close to being real that it makes you uncomfortable. So that could be a problem going forward, but I like to think about it more like the book Old Man's War by John Scalzi. In this book, this sci-fi book, humans have been improved in many ways. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the ability to access something called a brain pal would be really cool to me, where you just have this little personal assistant, almost like an Ask Jeeves, but in your brain, where you can pull up any kind of information instantly from the web, from the net, and be able to do translations, be able to do instant mathematical equations, basically have Google in your brain, instant access. That's what I want. Anyway, I want to know what you think about this episode. Let me know in the YouTube comments below, or tweet me at Veronica over on Twitter. And we're working on some episodes going forward that I think you may be interested in. Game of Thrones, for example. How exactly do they know when winter is or is not coming? What's the deal with the weather in the world of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire? Let me know, and tell me what else you want to see on the show and who else you want to see on the show. Until next time, I'm Veronica Belmont, future cyborg, doing the robot. Not good at it. Sorry.